Hey everyone, I recently needed to make a Luke Skywalker costume for my son to wear in my how to make a Luke Skywalker flight helmet video tutorial. So I thought I'd share with you what I used and how I did it. Let's check it out. I found a couple Taekwondo uniforms at the thrift store which I used for the pants and top. Everything would have been a lot easier if I had found a karate top, but you get what you get and you don't get upset when you're shopping at the thrift store. The first thing I needed to do was get rid of the fancy logo and badge on the front of the uniform. I'm pretty sure this was the most time-consuming part of the entire project, because it's just really hard to unstitch all that crazy embroidery. The next thing I did is I dyed the pants brown in a big vat of tea. You can see exactly how I did that by watching my tea pants dyeing video. Now, if you needed your costume in a hurry, you could kinda just stop right here and call it pretty much good. However, I did not stop here because I wanted to get it a little bit more accurate. What I wanted was for one lapel to overlap the other and close up the gap at the neck. So I took all my fancy sewing supplies into my secret lair and went to work. I cut the front of the shirt open following the angle made by the line of the top lapel. I wanted the edging of the lapel to continue all the way down the front angle, so I cut a strip of fabric from my second Taekwondo uniform to create that edging. I hemmed the strip on both sides and then sewed that strip around the cut edge of the shirt. I wasn't super keen on how it looked where my fancy new strip overlapped the old one, but I didn't really want to take the time to make one strip to go around the whole lapel. I then sewed another piece of my donor uniform to the other cut side, which gave me this. I folded the extra material under following the line of the lapel and sewed it down. This piece won't really be seen because it's going to be overlapped by the other lapel, but we still need it to keep the shirt from falling off. A few quick stitches to sew up the seams on the side of the shirt, and cut off and hem any of that extra piece that might be peeking out the bottom. And the top is finished. Taekwondo pants are quite a bit baggier than the skinny jeans Luke prefers, so I took some pins and marked down one side where I thought the seam should go to skinny them up. Just be careful not to pin your children to the pants. I turned the pants inside out and used a ruler to transfer the marks from one pant leg to the other so they would both be the same. Then it was a simple matter of sewing a seam straight up that line. Boom, skinny pants. Next, I grabbed a random piece of fabric in slow motion for the strips of cloth that wrap around Luke's lower legs. I made a mark every 3 inches and cut it into as long of strips as possible. It turned out as long as possible wasn't long enough, so I had to sew 2 together for each strip, which gave me a strip that was 310 centimeters long, the perfect size for dancing.
Like a wrecking ball, we can break them all to a higher ground. We will not be found. We can win the game. We can go insane like a shooting star. Don't you? Like a wrecking ball, we can break them all to a higher ground. We will not be found. We can win the game. We can go insane like a shooting star. Don't you wanna stay?
After my heartfelt dance break, I found some boots at the thrift store that were basically the right style, but the wrong color. They were a bit tall, so I chopped them down. Twice. I then pulled out my acrylic paints and tried to find a color that would match my leg wraparound strip things. After a bit of trial and error, I ended up using DecoArt Americana Premium, Titanium White, and Raw Sienna. These paints were provided to me by DecoArt through their Helping Artists program. Of course, it's always a good idea to try your paint out on some scrap before applying it to your actual project. I wanted my boots to look kinda old and worn, so I didn't want a totally even color on them. So instead of mixing my paints to a uniform color before painting, I took a bit of each color on my paintbrush and more or less mixed it on the boot as I went. Now, painting on boots isn't exactly what acrylic artist paints are made for, so you're gonna end up with a boot that's a bit stiff. But in a pinch, they sure do the job. I definitely needed more than one coat because the first coat soaked into the material pretty good. And because I don't have a lot of patience, I used my blow dryer to speed up the dry time. Once the fabric had been sealed by that first coat of paint, the second coat went on with a much denser color. I only painted partway up the boot because I knew the top half would be covered by the fabric strips and I just didn't feel like wasting paint. Then all I had to do was wrap the strips around the boot, up the leg, and tuck the end in at the back. And that's it. Now you can go off and do some moisture farming or save the universe. Don't forget to subscribe and bing that bell for notifications. Have fun making. See ya.